West. We begin with that developing news this morning. A man has been charged with the murder of a woman he lived with in Sydney's Inner West.
The 42-year-old man has been refused bail and is due to face court today. Let's go straight to our reporter in Sydney, Melissa Mackay. Mel, what do we know about the incident and the charges that have been laid?
Good morning, Bridget. Well, police are still here at this share house in Russell Lea in Sydney's Inner West after they were called just after 11 o'clock yesterday morning. We heard that a 000 call came in at 11:07. Police were on scene by 11:08 after reports that a woman could be heard screaming. When they arrived, they found a woman believed to be in her 50s with stab wounds to her upper body. Police say that they are yet to formally identify the woman and notify her next of kin. But we do know that she was living in the house with this 42-year-old man who has now been charged with murder. This is a share house sort of situation, as police have described. There were 5 people living in this premises, and we know that all of them were home at the time yesterday morning. Police say that they are treating this as a case of domestic violence, although the man and the woman were not believed to be in any sort of intimate relationship. But because they were living together in this house, it is being treated as domestic violence. Police were still here, as I said, on the scene. This man has now been charged with murder and he is expected to face the Parramatta local court a little bit later on today, Bridget.
Melissa, thank you.
Let's go to Queensland now, where a huge factory fire south of Brisbane has prompted an emergency declaration. Ariana Levy is on the scene in Logan for us. Ari, good morning. Take us through what's happening.
Good morning, Michael. It's still, as you can see behind me, extensive police operation, and fire and rescue crews have really stayed here overnight. They have been working tirelessly to try and extinguish what's left of this blaze. Now, last night, just after 10 o'clock, police were called to reports of a fire, and that's where they found this storage facility in Logan, which is about half an hour south of Brisbane, completely engulfed in flames. They've been working to try and continue to get that structure to really be stabilised, but as you can see, they're using that crane behind me to continue to extinguish what's really left of the remnants of this fire. It was quite intense last night. At one point, it really engulfed the top of the roof of this storage facility, even caving in. So there were major concerns there, as there's lots of residential buildings that actually back behind the storage facility, as well as a petrol service station just in front of it. So lots of concerns. It's quite a delicate operation as they continue to work on extinguishing what's really left. Now, there was a PSPA that was announced by police. That's an evacuation zone and an exclusion zone. That still does remain in place, and there were several homes that were evacuated along Jacaranda Street Avenue, Kingston Road, as well as Jurors Road, Skyline Drive and Hibiscus Street. Those homes were evacuated by police last night. They were taken to a nearby facility at the Kingston Butter Factory, where they've remained. There are some residents who have slowly begun to return home, but we have spoken to a few residents here, Michael, and it's quite concerning. One man said that he has a storage facility here. Now, there's about 300 storage units that have been destroyed and only about 136 that have been safely, I assume, would be okay. One of the men here that said that he had a storage facility behind me, he says that he's lost everything and he's quite upset. He hoped that he could get through 2024 without any further devastation, so he's quite upset. There's been lots of commotion around this area as well. As you can imagine, there's been lots of traffic blockades along the roads that have been set up as the exclusion zone. The main advice from police is to make sure, if you are in the region, to stay inside. As you can probably see behind me, there's heavy black smog that's really billowing from the building, and that's the concern here. Anybody with respiratory illness is advised to make sure they close their windows and doors and keep their respiratory medication handy. We have been advised that the traffic along the M1 is still flowing quite freely, but there are still several blockades, and that the advice is to make sure they stay across live traffic if possible.
OK, Ari, thank you.
Let's get more news now from Emma.
Thanks, Bridget. An independent investigation has been launched after SA Health discovered it may have miscalculated the due dates of more than 1,700 pregnant women. Leaked documents showed the women may have been induced too early or late due to an issue with electronic systems calculating gestational terms. SA Health is halfway through reviewing the relevant medical files and says no adverse health outcomes have been found so far. The number of recorded sexual assaults in Australia is at a 31-year high, according to data released by the Australian Bureau of Statistics. The report shows the number of sexual assaults rose by 11% last year, the 12th straight annual rise. CEO of domestic violence advocacy group Full Stop, Karen Bevans, says the data underscores the critical need for more funding in response, recovery and long-term healing and support. US media personality and businesswoman Paris Hilton has alleged she was abused by staff while living in youth residential facilities. She was placed there as a teenager as her parents sought help for her unruly behaviour. Speaking at a US Congress Committee on Child Welfare, Ms Hilton described being force-fed medication, sexually abused and violently restrained, and claims her parent were being lied to about her treatment.
When I got there was no therapy. We would just constantly be torn down, abused, screamed at, yelled at, no education whatsoever. I learned nothing there except trauma.
An Alice Springs tradition, billed as the world's only dry river boating event, has been cancelled. In just the third time in more than 60 years, the Henley-on-Todd will not go ahead this year. Organisers say a number of issues are to blame, including missing out on a vital $150,000 NT government grant because of an accounting error.
And part of a soccer field in the US state of Illinois has been swallowed by a huge sinkhole. Surveillance footage from the ground captured the moment the earth opened up, taking with it a floodlight pole and leaving a hole about 30 metres wide and 9 metres deep.